gentlemen, welcome back to the North American LCS Regional Playoffs. We're coming to you live from PAX Prime in Seattle, Washington. They know it, we know it, and it's time for our first semifinal match of the day, which is Vulcun versus TeamSoloMid.
The winner earns a spot in Sunday's finals and a berth into the Season 3 World Championship.
And so while Vulcun comes into this match as the #2 seed, and they're just 2 wins away from a spot at Worlds. You know, last split, they entered the spring playoffs as the 5th seed, as an underdog. You know, and yet a lot has changed since then. They've done so well now.
Yeah, Bloodwater and crew went on a postseason tear. They took 3rd and carried that momentum over to this summer where they finished in 2nd place. They were one of only 2 North American LCS teams with a winning record this summer, and the only team to beat Cloud9 twice. Leading the way for the 2nd-seeded Vulcun is the record-setting duo of Bloodwater and Mandatory Cloud. Bloodwater set the record for the most assists in one split with 337, but he does a lot more for Vulcun than just support in a fight. He also helps plan the game. He calls the shots during the back. After that, you know, after they picked up Bloodwater, Vulcun, you know, what was that, back in week 8? Yeah. Back in week 8 of the spring split, they won 2/3 of their games. Pretty decent odds there.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. And of course, the second record breaker on Vulcun is their lethal mid laner ManCloud. He's reigned death from above all summer, and he set a new mark for most kills in a split, 167.
And in another interesting bit of statistical information, he's the only non-AD carry to lead his team in total gold for the summer.
And so today, ManCloud and crew will look to come up golden against the TSM squad that they've beat the last 2 times they played.
But if yesterday tells us anything, it's that the playoffs are a whole new ball game. TSM hadn't won a game against CLG all summer long, and they won 2 in a row yesterday to make it into today's semifinals. Wild Turtle looked great in those 2 games. He played Twitch in round 1 and Caitlyn in round 2 and stacked up the kills for a playoff-leading KDA of 12. Dyrus, on the other end, got in on the action as well. Even though CLG focused him early, he was able to shake off a couple deaths, and he got in on 100% of TSM's kills in the first game. Then he followed that up with a 6-1 and 11 performance as Zach in game 2.
So some impressive stuff from the TSM members, but of course a tall order in front of them. So while Dyrus and TSM have lost 2 in a row to Vulcun, they've actually beat Bloodwater and crew in the semifinals of the spring split playoffs, and in the first 2 head-to-head matches of this summer. And even though it's been a disappointing split for TeamSoloMid, they're confident they can pick up the game here at PAX and take their 4th North American title in a row.
Our advantage comes from us being confident and us being pretty much the best team in North America for a long time.
I think in terms of the public fan base's point of view, like they are indeed like the Yankees, where they are just some really historic titans. But as far as the other teams goes, we know that they aren't like invincible. We should be able to beat them.
I think their reign is coming to an end, and I think better teams are going to be on top.
Well, after beating CLG, we're extremely confident now. I think that we're going to go in very strong. We just need to keep calm and play our game, and I think we'll win.
Like, no offense to Vulcun, but I see Vulcun as like an easier match than CLG.
CLG lost to TSM, but we're not CLG, and we're going to prove it.
Well, I guess if you believe Dyrus, Zuna isn't wrong either way. They're not CLG. Dyrus says they're easier. We'll see, guys. Of course, let's take a look at the starting lineups. In the blue corner, it is Vulcun with Psycho Sid in the top lane, Smithy in the jungle, ManCloud in the mid lane, Zuna on AD carry, and Bloodwater on support.
And in the red corner, it's TSM. Reginald is technically up top. The odd one's in the jungle. Dyrus is mid. Wild Turtle's on AD carry, and Xpecial is supporting.
And our featured matchup of the semifinal series between Vulcun's ManCloud and TSM's Reginald.
So Reggie is the shot caller and the heart of the team. Often after conflicts arise, you know, he's really the one that everybody looks at. He also runs the team like a business, whereas Mandatory Cloud is really close friends with all of his teammates. Plus, Mandatory Cloud is considered by many to be the best mid laner in all of North America, and he's got the stats to prove it. While Mandatory Cloud leads the league in kills, Reggie was the 2nd in the league in deaths with 125. That's just 1 less than Kiwi Kid's record at the top.
Wow, so these guys both beating Claky D's record. Shout out to Claky D. We love you so much. Thanks for doing camera. But guys, we're about ready to head into Champ Select, so let's quickly check out who you guys think is going to win the first spot in Sunday's finals and the first North American World Championship berth. According to lollysports.com, 72% think that TSM is heading to Worlds.
Have a small feeling that we're going to be hearing a lot of that chant over and over in the game.
Yeah, it's an easier to say acronym.
Then Vol?
Yeah, like, Vol's kind of weird.
V-U-L?
I mean, VUL.
I don't think I've ever heard it, actually.
We might hear it today. You might hear it today in the game. That was your guys' chance, by the way, for the Vulcun fans in the audience. I haven't heard it yet. All right, there we go.
Still haven't heard it.
Still haven't heard the VUL. Champ Select, though, has begun. Here we go, guys. Vulcun in blue, TSM in red. And this best of 3 means a World Championship spot. Nocturne dropped away from the odd one. Lee Sin killed away from Smithy. The Twitch ban for Wild Turtle. Now let's see I want to see if he gets rid of Caitlyn as well from Wild Turtle. He doesn't, so some AD carries.
That's definitely the champion that Wild Turtle would like to go back to. He got his Penta on it. He had good success recently on it just yesterday, so he'd very much love to go right back to that. The Twitch ban here is interesting, seeing as how Cop just did very poorly on that champion.
It's true. But there's basically 3 main AD carries for Wild Turtle, and with Twitch down, that's one of the 3 big ones.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I did a bunch of stats trying to figure out if there's any interesting trends coming into the game. Wild Turtle's actually the one TSM player that you could sort of ban out, in that if you're not on his top 3 champions, TSM's win record's like 2-7, whereas everyone else has had a much better time on like champions they've only played once or twice.
Speaking of that, Karthus is up in a TSM game. So that's definitely a high priority pick for Reginald. But already, Vulcun are saying, we're going to take Zed. That's kill potential if you do go with that Karthus. Very squishy early game. And Mandatory Cloud is definitely the man to take care of that matchup.
And this is interesting, too, because you're right. The Zed was the champion that Reggie picked both times yesterday. Also, Reggie tends to just go to that mid lane. I think he's one of the less likely to 1v2 players.
He's probably, speaking of statistics, he's probably the top laner that's gone mid the most.
Yeah, I'm sure he's the top laner who's gone mid the most out of any team here in the LCS. But of course, TSM still blistering through their picks. The Sona coming through, going to Special, and the odd one now the 3rd time in a row on Elise.
And showing the Zed very early means that they already are going to have that threat of a late game split push. We say it every time we see this champion, and he's just so good at it.
Yeah.
The dueling potential is rarely matched by any other champion in the league.
And we'll see what else comes out here for these guys. Of course, the Caitlyn comes through, actually picked up by Zuna. One of his more played champions. He actually has only played champions for the most part with 600 range or more, so it's another sort of Wild Turtle champion taken away.
But, you know, he does love that Tristana, and it's more so taken away from Wild Turtle, I think, than grabbing the Caitlyn for himself, because he definitely is pretty much in love with that Tristana.
Yeah, it's Caitlyn and Twitch. Those are the big ones. The Tristana, though, he's sacrificing that. The Ahri, though, coming out for Reginald. He started playing that late in the split. It fits his play style. So double Assassins now in the more or less mid lane if Reggie goes there.
The stage is set for the mid lane duels. Both of them on the Assassins. The 2 most popular Assassins in the game currently, Ahri versus Zed. This is a really fun matchup that I actually like to see them meet in single-handed combat, because when Zed goes in for his ultimate, he'll always put the shadow in the same spot, and if the Ahri player is quick enough, they can spirit dash backwards and land the charm immediately on the Zed to break up his combo of the death mark. And if you can do that, then she can survive. Otherwise, it's going to be the Zed with the upper hand, 100% pop.
It's going to be a very fun matchup to watch, a skill-based one, and I mean, you got a semifinal, 2 of North America's best teams. There's going to be some skilled matchups going on right here. So the last 2 picks going to come through here for Vulcun. Of course, the Vayne grabbed for Wild Turtle. Good late game potential there for him. But it's going to be, looks like Thresh and the Zac coming through. So pretty nice setup here for Vulcun.
They're following the Z rule that Diamond laid down. It's the Zed and the Zac. We went over it before, but looks like Vulcun were paying more attention here. They're definitely going to put their faith in the EU decision-making skills here.
I'm sad that Bloodwater didn't go Zyra. He played it 4/5 of his games back in Week 9 in the regular season. Still wanted to Thresh, though. Still a good champion for him. Now, interestingly, Dyrus played Karthus back in Week 9. They lost that game, but he's played it once before. They're going back for it here, unless it's Dyrus Ahri, which I guess, I mean, either one, right?
It's possible, but last time it was that switch. Reginald's going to take that Assassin probably. That's That's definitely what he wants to do. He's not one to back down from confrontation.
No.
Basically, he feels challenged by Mandatory Cloud. Everyone's hyping up. Yeah, exactly. Mandatory Cloud is the #1 mid laner. Reginald wants to take that crown away from him. I would not be surprised if Reginald was seeking out Mandatory Cloud during this game for those one-on-one confrontations.
That'd be a pretty fun battle.
He is, though, going to have that extra damage coming in from Dyrus. So he's got a little...
He's got a Requiem to help out.
He's got a buddy in his back pocket here.
Assists don't count, Reginald. It's got to be a 1v1, no help, or you don't get to take the crown away from Manclad right now.
Team game, Freak.
Team game. Okay, sorry. Team game. Sorry, you're right. Everyone counts. Everyone counts. Guys, here we go. The semifinals coming up for you guys. The champs have been locked in. I'm actually going to check just to make sure that is Reginald Ari, that is Dyrus on Karthus. They didn't do anything funky at the last couple seconds. Semi-final match, best of 3. TSM came through 2-0 in Counter Logic Gaming. Vulcun came through with a bye, being the second place team. One of the best performing teams, obviously, in the North American Summer Split. And now here we go. Seed 2 versus Seed 3. Winner moves on to Sunday's finals, gets a spot in the World Championship. And if TSM doesn't make this is the first World Championship they have not made.
Now, sometimes starting off with a bye can actually hurt you because you're coming in a little cold. Live events like this, you got to warm up to these. And TSM are very much at home in front of these giant audiences.
Yeah.
They've also got a whole bunch of momentum coming into this. 2-0 CLG, their classic rivals, has got to be a huge confidence booster for these TSM guys.
You're absolutely right. These guys are going to be coming in confident. And they're the team that performs when it matters at the very end.
There's some Vulcan cheers. Just
and
kidding.
as you say that, they chant
Just
TSM.
kidding.
All right, here we go, guys, though. Blue side Vulcan. Oh, they're getting louder. All right.
All right, let's look at the champions, though, because Vulcan have a very strong lineup here. Not only did they get the Zac Zed, but Jarvan, one of the most sought-after junglers of the current meta as well. They also have the tower-taking combo of Kate Thresh. Just a very, very strong composition that they've been able to line up here. They pretty much got most of the champions that they want here. So we'll have to just see. It's going to come down to play. TSM really favoring the double AP comps now with Dyrus going on that side lane Karthus. Just means that he has to be a little bit more defensive, and that's why they put this very deep ward. He's even placed for himself at the blue buff.
Yeah, and Dyrus is one of the safest laners, especially safe in the North American LCS in general. That guy does not take many unnecessary risks. He does a very good job of keeping himself up. So if someone's going to play a side lane Karth as well, you're right, that is probably going to be Dyrus. So Vulcan making a late invade toward the red buff, putting some early, well, not early, but some wards down to spot a lot out from TSM.
And then continuing with Dyrus here, because he did bring that Karthus to the top lane, it's very natural for Karthus to run Exhaust, which is a summoner spell that you definitely want when you're faced with a Zed. And since Xpecial likes to run Ignite for the laning power in that duo lane, it's necessary for TSM to have that Exhaust come from somewhere. Dyrus is going to be the one bringing that, and we'll see a lot of the team fights later are going to basically revolve around Dyrus getting the Exhaust onto Zed and then getting into the middle of that team fight. So a lot of pressure here on Dyrus' shoulders.
All right, Dyrus, see if you can keep it up for your team. Right now, you're just going to have to be laning just kind of alone. Looks like he's going to be actually in the 1v2 here. So a lane swap coming out for TSM. They've sent Vayne and Sona to the top lane. They'll be fighting Psycho Sid at Zac over on the side. And his last little lizard coming down. Meanwhile, it's going to be that heads-up play. Reginald already using his Ignite to put some early damage down on Mancloud. Look at him, still trying to trade. Mancloud's already chugged his only potion here. That damage is more or less permanent.
And he has gone the safer route with the Doran Shield. Because of the range discrepancy here, Ari definitely wants to take advantage of the auto-attack harass. Looks like we are going to have 3 members congregating around the mid here for both teams, though. Jarvan in position to get behind Reggie.
Interesting setup there. Reginald forced to flash away, but lands the charm. Smithy going to take a couple hundred damage here. Yeah, the odd one coming by as well. Will he get in range for the stun? No minions coming up in time. Actually, he doesn't have his cocoon yet. He's got Q and W.
Best
Never mind.
conga line of all time.
Yeah, no skill shots required for the odd one, but there's a lane advantage, though. That duo lane top for TSM, you're seeing them try to take control over Smithy's blue buff.
They're not going to give this one up here. Odd one definitely. He's making his presence felt, and a lot of this is due to the fact that Mandatory Cloud cannot collapse here. So they know they've lost the pressure from mid lane. Jungling and counter jungling is 100% a team sport.
Very well done right there. TSM taking an extra buff away, and that's going to hurt Smithy quite a bit, who's now just stuck defending his teammate on the side. And, you know, Dyrus is alone, but look at that. He's got 2 minion kills.
Level 3 coming behind the turret here. Odd one looking for it.
Ooh, there's the flash force away as well. So both mid laners now without flash. The jungler's making a lot happen. And look how much golden experience now that ManCloud is missing out. Reggie's push helping out immensely.
This is also answering the damage on the bottom turret where Dyrus is by himself trying to defend with all of Karthus' AoE damage. They're actually getting the equal amount of damage onto this mid turret, which is even more important when both teams are running these assassin team comps, because mobility around the jungle is crucial to have that mid turret to work off of. We've already seen Odd One start off with 1 jungle invade, and he'll definitely want to keep that timer. That's one of the things that he does the best of any of the North American junglers, is continue his counter jungling. So they'll be back for repeat visits at that blue.
In case he wants to do more than just counter jungle and maybe gank a lane, Bloodwater has put a ward down on that Tribrush, saying that they are going to keep pushing, they're going to keep putting pressure on that turret, and they want to know if Odd One comes to stop them. That might just keep Zuna and Bloodwater safe. They're doing a pretty good job so far, 29 to 29 in minions compared to the other AD carry, but as we saw, a lot of pressure on that turret, and Vulcun just might get the first one.
And that is, you know, Caitlyn. We always talk about how she's a PvE sort of AD carry, and that's really just the early stages of the game, but the towers definitely fall readily to her, and it's no different here. Bloodwater definitely doing his part as well, even keeping Dyrus back here.
And well below a quarter, this minion wave looks like it'll die off first, but the next one might just be enough for these guys. And to keep track of the other lanes, though, as this turret's pretty much sure to fall, ManCloud versus Reginald, despite ManCloud getting pushed away early on, is doing okay in minions. 17 to 25 is not that big of a difference for having lost an entire wave to the turret not long ago. There's the first turret going down. Vulcun making their first mark in the map. And look at TSM, that top lane, still at half HP.
That's, you know, the side effect of the blue steal was that Jarvan spent his time up at the top turret, so they did get to save some life on that top turret and defend it for a little bit more. Smithy, though, invading where he has no business invading, because like we said, Mandatory Cloud already a little bit behind on the pressure in that mid lane, and Ahri could collapse a lot easier. Odd One, also with the experience, slight experience advantage, able to defend his own jungle.
Doing a good job of that one. And I actually like there was when Bloodwater actually swept out that ward in the bottom river, the brush with the pink ward, it got pinged. TSM knew the expected
Odd One with
location.
the counter gank here. He's in perfect position. Smithy knows nothing.
And Smithy just like, you know what, I don't want to do it anyway. But Odd One, of course, Smithy gets stunned. There's the push on it. Oh my god, the health bar loss right there. Smithy trying to run 400 HP on him, does get over the wall. That was a nice job, though, by the Odd One.
Yeah, so he got a little harassed out of it, but no long cooldowns, and really the patience just pays off in a little bit of HP that may make the difference in the bottom.
Ignite used onto Special, but no follow-up damage, though, up here. Just kind of using a summoner spell for AP and 80 to last hit almost more than to actually kill someone off.
Special does not panic. Does not have to tumble around. That's Wild Turtle's job.
Nope, he's not at the disco. Doesn't need
All
to
right,
panic.
so the secondary turret down there, Caitlyn, though, they haven't stopped with this pressure. So even though this one's been equalized, Vulcun are already on the secondary turret here, making it work with Smithy waiting in the bush for the counter game.
Yeah, this is super interesting. They're instead of going for defense, going for more offense here, but they don't have a lot of pressure on this yet. Look, Dyrus is recalling. He knows his duo lane did his job, and they're sending Wild Turtle and Expecial back down to that turret. That secondary turret only lost like maybe at most 1/5 of its health. So Vulcun basically taxed their own top lane for only a little bit of damage on TSM's bottom lane turret. I'm not sure if that was necessarily the best idea, because now they're going to get defended.
Now, with the bottom turret being down, though, they do have a slight advantage around the Dragon Pit. They have a little bit of extra presence there, and since Dyrus can send his Requiem for extra damage if there's a dragon fight, Zac has no global presence at all. This is TSM with the advantage around Dragon.
This is good. Look at them all pinning down. The pink ward, of course, already there as well. The duo
Things
lane
are coming out. They know.
Yeah, Vulcun are coming back up from the bottom, but they're vastly outnumbered. Reginald gets to the Dragon Pit as well first. Unless Smithy can get a miracle steal with the Lantern. Let's see if he can do it. Q comes across. No attempted steal whatsoever. That's just going to be the Dragon picked up here for TSM. 1-to-1 in turrets and an extra Dragon.
So the only reason Smithy didn't go in for that, cooldown on Smite. He is one of the best at stealing. Dyrus here going to take some harass from Sid, but it's not very scary.
The Q. Maybe he can get it.
All right, so Dragon did go to TSM because of that smite timing there from Smithy. That one being down cost them a little bit, and TSM now with the actual lead.
Good job then by TSM. The mid lane matchup still holding pretty firm. And looks like Vulcan's going to try to swing that back ManCloud's way by starting off in the blue buff. And after the wave clear, he'll be able to pick this one up. But as we keep track, 63 to 62 in minions. Reginald has held a 10 minion kill lead. Wild Turtle versus Zuna, another important matchup. Actually a slight lead for the Vayne. And we talk about how good Caitlyn is at PvE. Well, she's getting out PvE'd right now by that Wild Turtle Vayne.
The only thing is they don't have a tower to fall back on like we already went over. So they're having to put a lot of wards here, especially dropping 2 pinks down in that bottom lane, as well as another ward inside the tri-bush. Nice dodge there by Dyrus, by the way. We saw some misplays there. I forget who it was yesterday, but walking into the shadow, as soon as that elastic slingshot goes off, you can be aware of where he's going to land because of that shadow on the ground.
Well, good job here by Dyrus, and of course, you're seeing that matchup now heads up 52 to 48. These guys are pretty equal. In fact, almost every lane is only within a couple, maybe half dozen or so. Reginald, though, forced to flash away. Another jump comes out, but he's already out of the Cataclysm. Will it be enough?
The heal!
No! Just enough health left onto Reginald. The extra armor MR might have been enough to make that Death Mark not pick him up. So Reggie gets out, loses the flash. Of course, Vulcan, ManCloud burned 2 of his summoners as well. So good escape there. More lost by Vulcan than by TSM.
Yeah, full combo there from ManCloud, and they weren't able to come out with that very nice rotation. Very timely there from the bottom lane, TSM. Not only did they save Reggie, but they also get pressure on mid.
A lot of damage coming to Arthur, but there's the Sonic special, and of course there's no minions to tank the aggro. So Oddwin's going to volunteer himself for that job, loses a Spiderling, but that mid turret's starting to lose some real health.
Now Zuna's solo pushing up here. He doesn't have wards on the side, and Reginald would be a very dangerous opponent if he still had Spirit Rush, but he had to just burn that to get out with his life. So Zuna's going to be okay.
He's going to be okay for now. That cooldown not massive, though. Only 30 seconds left, which means only really 1 wave left for Zuna to farm before Reggie becomes a major
he's
threat.
out of there.
All right, he's just gone. Reggie had saved his Ignite during the last fight as well, so all kinds of scary reasons. ManCloud still back to this mid lane. Only 69 minions, actually. That lead, I said it was close like 20 seconds ago. Not anymore. Reggie, 87 to only like just under 70. There's a pretty substantial lead built there, and you're seeing TSM, just by only being up the Dragon, are up more than 1,000 gold. They're outlaning their opponents here.
And they still have the extra advantage of Requiem coming from top. So Smithy doing the smart thing as a jungler, going to the source of that global. He wants to attack Dyrus so that they don't have anyone else entering.
He has Flash Exhaust, a little bit of mana left. Smithy with blue buff. Does have backup too. Yeah, it does. Here we go. He's going to tank the first turret shot, say, nope, minions, you're going to do that for me. Now, TSM not quite nearby. The jump goes in onto Dyrus, low on health. There's all the ultis burned. Exhaust goes off on Psycho Sid, but Psycho Sid's going to get out of this one. Smithy picks up first blood for this one, 11.5 minutes in, and there's not enough damage dealt for Requiem to come in. Nice pickup for Vulcan.
Yeah, Dyrus was resigned to his death there, and good choice by him, saving that cooldown. Having the Requiem in your pocket definitely worthwhile. They wouldn't have picked up any kills.
There's Reginald. You can see him bullying out ManCloud and the rest of the team grouping up here for the mid lane. Reggie getting some good amount of farm. Needlessly large rod already on him, and there's the minion wave. This mid turret under siege, and no one's really around for Vulcan to defend this. If someone sews up, they would die. And there's the turret going down. TSM finding the first middle turret. They've built themselves even more of a lead now in this game.
And the most important thing, after they took the turret down, laying that ward, so they'll be alerted to the movements of the Mandatory Cloud Zed assassin. They won't be surprised by his roaming. One of my favorite wards, and one of the ones that are, not quite used enough, I think.
Very good job then by these guys. Getting the vision they need. ManCloud just futilely killing minions. He wants to hit champions. Minions he's kind of sharpening his blades on them, but hasn't found something to kill just yet. Lantern comes down from Bloodwater, gets ward coverage.
This is going to be a 4-on-4.
This is going to be all kinds of interesting. Requiem, as we said, is still available. ManCloud lurking in the shadows. Oddwin is here. Smithy. Actually, the Cristiano's going to come across. So Zuna taking a bunch of pain, has to get out. Oddwin is still on top of him, though. Is it going to be enough damage? Requiem comes across. That will be Zuna going down, but it's a trade for the odd one. Actually, nice kill credit going to Dyrus. TSM have control over the blue buff. Wild Turtle starting it. Vulcan's still around, though.
Mandatory Cloud used his ultimate, though, and Reggie still has Spirit Rush, so it'd be very dangerous for them to continue to fight. Even 3 versus 3, being down an ultimate means everything in that fight. And the odd one may have been a little bit too eager to finish off Zuna there, as he forgot about the Requiem from Dyrus, which would have been able to finish it off, and maybe he could have pulled back.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, he did go down, so it was a trade kill. However, TSM secured their blue. Psycho Sid has ulti in just 2 seconds from now, but doesn't go all in for Dyrus. Instead, goes back for his own minion wave. He had actually also tried to roam down Psycho Sid, but the fight was done before he came down there, so he turned back. However, Dragon's up in 10 seconds, and Requiem will be down for that fight.
Yeah, we keep talking about Requiem, but Zac is going to become a beast in this late game. There's nothing Dyrus can do to him in the lane phase anymore. He's already completed his Spirit Visage. All of that magic resist and cooldown reduction means that he can sustain as long as he wants.
And there's a charm coming out from Reginald. Goes in onto Smithy. Down to half health. That's a flag toss.
Oh,
but there's
so
the
deep!
race of Vulcun. Smithy is not. Oh, he's going to get the kill. Zuna, very well played. The dragon goes down. Reggie trades his life for a secure dragon.
Classic Reginald, extremely aggressive, but he was able to captivate the attention of all the members of Vulcun, allowing the rest of his team to take that dragon.
Yeah, worth it for his team. Now I want to see if the power play, though, the 5-on-4, does anything here for Vulcun. Actually, Dyrus is still pushing that top lane. This was the old 2-on-1 lane for TSM. Of course, that turret, I believe, already dead, so it's not like he's going to get turret pressure out of it, but pushes the wave down. Vulcun going back to this lane. Zuna and Bloodwater haven't left this lane the entire game. They're still trying to work that turret down. When they've only got 1 turret kill, and that's going to be their number 2 almost. Nope, they turn around, just kidding.
Yeah, they don't want to fight Xpecial and Wild Turtle in the open field here. Wild Turtle, by the way, not going with the classic Blade of the Ruined King build. Starting off with that BF sword. Probably going to go the old double lift style there. Upgrade that into a Bloodthirster for that power spike that's pure damage.
It's really interesting. You actually do lifesteal more with a Bloodthirster, both because the lifesteal itself is higher, as well as the actual lifestealable damage per attack. So, for what it's worth, I mean, aside from the Blade of the Ruined King sort of health spike from using the active, he'll sustain more. So if he takes some damage from Psycho Sid or from ManCloud, he can sustain back up and stay in the fight. I wonder if that's actually his game plan here, and that's why he's going for this one. We'll see how it pans out in the game. Psycho Sid, though, still up against Dyrus. These guys just playing a pretty PvE game. Sid got 1 kill on him, and here's Smithy looking for gank number 2.
Last time Smithy did this exact same move, they got the kill on Dyrus, and there was no answer for TSM. This time around, Dyrus playing the safe move here. Wards at the perfect time. He does see the flag come in.
Yeah, it was interesting. Smithy had put a ward over the Baron wall, like seeing, oh, is Auburn going to see me come up here? But it took long enough that Dyrus saw him come up there, so no big deal at this point. Walker tumbling around Zuna. Yeah, you can see them kind of harassing back and forth.
Wow.
A lot of damage on a Wild Turtle, actually, but he's got a Sonus to sustain. He's actually pushing in on a Bloodwater. They're going for this fight. Pops the ulti as well. Can he condemn onto the wall? There's the play and the box. Bloodwater trying to run. Picks him up. Wild Turtle with a Bloodthirster. Taking someone down. And now Reggie around the back, but Zuna has already run away.
Yeah, in those fights where he's chasing and he has the long walk between auto attacks, Bloodthirster definitely paying off way more than the Blade of the Ruined King would have, even with the active helping him chase down. He doesn't need that because he already had the extra speed from his ulti.
Well played by these guys, and now the pressure onto the mid lane. Oblan stuns up ManCloud, though, forces them back right there. Nice knockup from Smithy to stop some of the damage from coming across. Oblan has held this turret alive, though, and you look at the scoreboard. TSM in control of turrets. The bottom lane goes down thanks to their kill onto Bloodwater. 3-1 on turrets and in control of dragons. Very good start for TSM.
And now they're pushing back in this bottom lane too. Only thing is they don't have a lot of wards in this lizard side jungle, so they're going to have to shore that up because the roaming Zed still has the potential to burst out either Xpecial or Wild Turtle. Reggie roaming down too, but Jarvan's right behind him.
The flash crescendo onto 2. Goodbye, Vulcun. Zuna falls down as well. The counter engage on a Wild Turtle. Do they have the damage?
He's so deep.
There's the Zed. Wild Turtle is going to go down. Death. Oh no,
They don't finish him. They
buries
leave
the
him for
death
dead.
mark. Oh no. All right, ManCloud got it anyway. See, there's the lifesteal. That Bloodthirster lifesteal. Keeps him alive a little bit longer. But a 2-for-1 still great for TSM.
Yeah, and the 2-for-1, that's a difference of a few seconds. TSM don't hesitate. They all immediately listen to Reggie's call. For better or worse, they all went at the same time, and they were rewarded in this case with an extra kill.
Nice stuff right there. So, the move's still going forward. TSM didn't get a turret out of it, but +1 kill is still an extra gold lead for these guys. We just keep watching Psycho Sid. He's trying to push. He keeps chunking down the minion waves aggressively and sustaining back up. Dyrus just forced a last hit under turret. And you can see he's doing a very good job with that one. Dyrus keeping up in minions completely. And honestly, Sid is still not taking down that turret despite his pushing efforts.
Exactly. So far, Dyrus is definitely coming out ahead in this top lane because he's been able to add Requiem damage, whereas Sid has not been able to help his team at all. He's just been trying to pressure this one and keep Dyrus at his turret. Now that Dyrus finally ran out of mana, he had to go back to base.
And also to point out, Dyrus went for this late game scaling build. It's standard for Karthus, sure, but Rod of Ages tier, he's at like his lowest point possible as Karthus and is only going to get more powerful from there, whereas Sid completed an item, could be available for fights, but isn't getting anything out of it. So Vulcun going back for more objectives, grabbing the red buff for themselves. I don't see him pulling over Zuna for this one, so Smithy's still grabbing the red buff. He's been a part of all his team's kills, but I haven't seen him look for a real gank in quite some time.
And I think the wards are really going to come out pretty fast here because not only is Wild Turtle now split pushing and he needs ward coverage, but also Reginald finished his Deathfire Grasp, so he's looking for kills on the support. If he can find Bloodwater anywhere on the map, he can blow him up in one combo.
Absolutely the case. So Psycho Sid starting to build up some health. He knows he's going to fight Wild Turtle and needs that Randuin's Omen in the near future, or the Sunfire Cape, either one we'll see. But Sid actually going for a Magic Pen build. Now this is pretty standard for Zax, but his goal is to actually hit squishies, it seems, and deal damage to that back line, possibly pairing up with ManCloud.
Yeah, it's a good plan. There goes Reggie. He does use this Deathfire Grasp!
Oh, the ulti comes off from ManCloud, doing some damage back, and jumps to his Shadow Clone. Escape there from ManCloud. Both players using all their summoner spells in that fight. Of course, the fight still coming out. The Psycho Sid taking some damage. Reggie goes down to the Ignite. Sid's going to get splorted right there into little bloblets. But Smithy's up in the back line. Wild Turtle, does he have anyone stopping him? Bloodwater coming by. Smithy going up there as well. 2 blobs left. There's the play. The jump in. Sid goes down, but they're going to maybe trade on a Wild Turtle. He's trying to get out. Crescendo onto 3.
And Zuna!
Oh, that was close. And Zuna does go down. Another trade of champions. 2 for 2 in this fight.
2 for 2, but they also got the Zac passive, and they had also forced back Mantor Cloud previously to that. So interesting turn of events there. Wild Turtle was able to finish off those blobs. We've seen so many times where AD carries have been one shot short of hitting the last blob. Oh, everybody hold your breath.
That was a close one, but no one from Vulcun quite face checks out. The Wall of Pain comes out and says, hey guys, we're here. All right, we'll back off. The Q coming out. There's the flag toss as well. Smithy saying, I don't know if you guys really want a dragon. We know you're here. ManCloud comes back. Reggie has Spirit Rush before ManCloud has Death Mark, though. There's a small cooldown window here.
And Smithy this time is ready to steal. He's got his Smite available. It's going to be very dangerous, though. He also has Flash, so he can try and get back out after.
Well, the Dragon taking some damage.
There he goes.
Smithy goes in, does not get the steal, gets the Lantern back, doesn't even need Flash, just doing it in style.
Yeah, plus Flash would have been too short there. Oh, Mentor Cloud does get exhausted.
Exhaust gets used. There's the jump on in. Charm goes on a Bloodwater. Bloodwater going to run back. The box comes across. 2 kills picked up so far. So much damage coming across. But there's the Requiem from Reggie. Or sorry, it's going to be a lot picked up. Sid's gonna go down. Dyrus makes that happen. Smithy, he's off on the side. Zuna getting chased out by Wild Turtle. He's likely to go down right here. Trying to run away. There it is, picked up by Wild Turtle. Huge fight there for TSM.
That was a beautiful let's bounce from Psycho Sid, but they fought on top of Dyrus's corpse, and the damage coming from him after that, way too much for them to answer. Requiem coming down gave the TSM the confidence to follow that back up, and then a chase like this is where Vayne really shines. What that charm there onto Bloodwater as well, Reggie, right before he had to Spirit Rush back out. Now, you see how deep they got across Dyrus's body? They went all the way through the defile and then said, oh shit, he's still doing damage to us. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Wild Turtle, though, on that Vayne, great at chasing down anyone. Zuna, there's nowhere you can hide.
Plus 302 gold for that pickup right there. The Avarice Blade giving that 2 extra gold. Nice job.
And with all of those assists Dyrus just got, he's completed both of his scaling items right now. The Archangel Sap, it stacks up much quicker than the tier now. So you're rewarded when you finish that. He'll be getting that Seraph's Embrace much quicker than he would have if he just left it as tier and waited for the combine. So that and the Rod of Ages ticking here for a very scary Karthus.
Oh, yeah, and so he's getting tankier and dealing more damage. Now, I now want to know what the Amplifying Tome goes into, because that's either Zhonya's or a Void Staff. one of whom is like, hey, I'm just going to like really, really not die. And one of which is just like, even if you kill me, you're still going to all die. So Dyrus still being really, as you said, very scary Karthus, and obviously showing it here in this game. And we're going to see now 8 to 10. These kill scores are still incredibly close, but it's TSM winning in objectives. This reminds us of kind of that complexity versus to be determined game from earlier, actually, where the kills were close, but here we have a team just taking dragons, taking turrets. Wild Turtle can't even be trifled with. You're seeing him on the side, the Bloodthirster Static Shiv. No one's messing with him. He's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Zuna, look, hiding.
Well, this is really funny that Wild Turtle's that confident, because look at the ward coverage they have on this Lizard side. It's nothing. There's pink wards for Vulcun up here. So they know that Wild Turtle doesn't have vision of them. And he's still confident enough to come down here.
Well, there's the Avon lending a little bit of support. Reginald lurking on that side of the map as well. Could run down at a moment's notice. Still in the duel with ManCloud. And to be honest, up to this point, I got to say Reggie's had a little bit the better of him. 2 kills and 4 assists, making just a little bit more happen for his team, as well as a slight minion farm lead. So got to hand it to Reggie here. Red buff goes to Zuna, though. So they're going to start transitioning more into that 80 carry style for Vulcun.
I love the second item here from Wild Turtle as well, going with that Static Shiv so that he can split push. One of the things with Vayne, one of her weaknesses is that she's not a very good wave clear as far as 80 carries are concerned. But Static Shiv will make anyone a good wave clear.
Yeah, pretty helpful right here. So Wild Turtle 2-shotting the minions, and if he gets a static proc, he might even kill them in 1. Very nearly gets that one. You can see Wild Turtle there up there to the turret, and down it goes. Wild Turtle, the Bloodthirster damage, doing a lot of damage. That's actually the other thing that Bloodthirster does, is Blade Through doesn't affect turrets. So Wild Turtle getting a lot of split push out of that one, actually more than I had counted for him. So,
and now they're taking over the jungle in wards as well. After that secondary bottom turret goes down, they have so much more territory to work with.
They do, and it's getting harder and harder to breathe for this Vulcun squad. You're seeing them kind of stuck inside a smaller and smaller little ball where it's, okay, we can farm at the corpse for our second turret, but look how far away TSM is. They're over on Baron on the other side of the map, and no one from Vulcan's even nearby.
Reginald doing his best to screen right now, and he's very scary, so they have to be careful. For Zuna!
Zuna taking the shot to the face right there, getting farther and farther lower. There's Xmithy going down right away. 1-0. Bloodwater chunked down. He's going to fall. Zuna going to go down to Wild Turtle. 3 kills so far. The counter engagement goes across. Crescendo, though. That's going to be ManCloud falling over. Wild Turtle is alive and life steals off some minions. Psycho Sid goes back in, finds the shutdown, trying to run. I doubt he'll be able to. That fight was massive for TSM. That's going to be, he's going to die.
Psycho Sid just did not want Wild Turtle to live through that one. But regardless, TSM crushed it in that team fight. Reginald, playing the point man, dives into the team to go after Zuna.
It's a good picture choice
right there.
I
I heard the giant chants. I thought they'd be jumping around or something there. We had the Baron coming after this, though, for TSM. Not only do they get the kills, but they get the objectives.
Very well played here. So, Baron buff not going to go to Wild Turtle. It's one thing Vulcun has on their side. Only 4 Baron buffs here.
It cost them the cell division, though, and the extra life there from Psycho Sid.
Worth it. He typed it in all chat, trust me. I can see, I'm a spectator, I know. Smithy, though, going to go back on cleanup duty towards his top lane, and now Vulcan's in the situation where they've been getting battered around for a while. TSM have continued to own this map. They've continued to grab the objectives, to grab all the openings. Though the kills were close up until now, there's not been an opening at all for Vulcun. Everything's been going TSM's way.
I'm really loving this Karthus pickup for TSM that doesn't go to Reginald. With Dyrus on that champion, he gets to stay in that top lane island, still adding so much to the team and matching Psycho Sid for farm. Now even passing Psycho Sid in farm, and he is a much bigger threat in team fights.
He is. He's incredibly crazy, and the Void Staff does come out, so Dyrus is just, hi, I am a damage dealer, I dare you to kill me off, in a team with Ari and Vayne also pringling you down. So there is the Dragon falling over TSM again in more and more control of this game. 4-4 Dragons, 4-1 in turrets, 1-0 in Barons, 15-9 in kills. Every score that matters going up for these guys. Even the junglers have more farm, and if Special lasts hit 1 more minion, he'll even have more CS than Bloodwater. Everything going well for this TSM squad. Now I want to see what these guys do with the Baron buff. They've still got 2.5 minutes left. They've got 2 more turrets outside of the base left to kill. I want to see how far in they can go.
Well, they've already got Reginald itemizing against Zed. He's got the answer already. He has his Zanya's Hourglass. And Wild Turtle's starting his answer. Once those two main damage dealers get their answers for Vulcan's threat, which is that Zed all-in, then they will feel the confidence to be able to push in even further. Right now, with the sustain of Baron buff and the sustain of the Sona heal, they can siege up very easily outside these turrets and get a little bit more global gold to just push Wild Turtle over that threshold.
See if they can do it. Vulcan has some pretty decent wave clear. The Jarvan, the Zed, the Caitlyn, they've done a decent job of getting rid of these minions. You can see there, the push going in on the turret. A lot of damage being dealt. The charm on Smithy, and they just go in. Smithy forced to flash away over the wall of pain. The turret down about half HP. Reginald looks for another catch. Doesn't quite find anything. Caitlyn comes across onto him. A little bit of damage coming there.
Wild Turtle takes it for him.
He's got lifesteal. He's a good teammate.
He is a good teammate. Now, that was really, the second one is Reginald, after he procced his first Spirit Rush, felt like he didn't want to waste the next charge, went in there again, and did not have to pay for it. That's where you can punish a player like Reginald, because you can count on him to make those aggressive plays.
Yeah.
And if his Spirit Rush has been procced, he's going to use the next charges.
And another one lands onto his Smithy. Look at that. The second turret has gone down. The inhibitor one going to go. There's a crescendo coming across. Smithy does not go down, though. Bloodwater in the front. He does fall over to Reginald, but the fight is going to continue. Deathmark on a Wild Turtle. He will live, though. Psycho Sid bouncing around. Does not have cell division. The ulti coming across. Double kill there for Dyrus. And only Zuna is left alive. TSM all 5 standing.
You can see the effectiveness of the build from Wild Turtle, going with the straight lifesteal of Bloodthirster after the Deathmark was on him, tumbling backwards. He didn't have to worry about it at all. Didn't even have to finish that Quicksilver Sash. TSM are rolling into the Nexus turret.
20 seconds there on the respawns. TSM looking for game on his best of 3. They blow up Zuna. That's surely going to be the game. TSM bringing the semifinal 1-0 in their favor.
Quite the dominant performance from TSM. This is the TSM in crunch time. This is the TSM that people cheer for. The TSM of tournaments.
And I think we knew pretty well the crowd was cheering for them. You heard the chants coming out there. There's the smile on their faces. Yeah. Had to move the mic out of the way to get some water. They're busy speaking commands. You got to keep the voice going. So that was a very, very well played game. So now TSM say, all right, well, our game plan worked here for game 1. Vulcun on your screens discussing, what do we do for game 2?
You don't want to let Karthus through against this TSM team because they have 2 different type of Karthai on their team. They've got the Reggie, who's going to be flashing in and initiating, trying to create plays with the slows and then get into the early team. And then you have the Dyrus, who's just a top lane farm machine that tries to add the global presence of the Requiem in.
Yeah, and it was interesting because consider his matchup against Psycho Sid. So Sid we know as a very consistent player. He's very, very strong, does a very good job, but he plays kind of the lower kill potential. He runs a lot of Shen, a lot of Zac, and you saw the Shen ban come out, actually by Vulcun, I think. But he plays the tanky guys who aren't crazy threatening. He's not Westrice, right? He's not playing Akali and Talon and killing things over and over again. You can just kind of let him be a tank as long as the rest of your team does well. And as you said, that second kind of Karthus, I'm going to sit back and farm Karthus against someone who doesn't put pressure on you, that's exactly what Karthus wants.
And he showed why you don't want to let Karthus do that in this game.
Yeah, Dyrus, an incredibly good performance. So that's going to do it for us here, but we're going to send it over to Jat and Riv for a breakdown of TSM's dominating Game 1 win.
Thank you very much, Freak. And so far, history repeating itself with this semifinal matchup happening in the spring split, TSM being able to take that one as well. And right now, I'm pretty sure the fans are happy with that performance.
It was quite a performance by TSM, to be honest. That was a dominating victory from a team who TSM, they have not looked dominant for a very long time, really since the playoffs of the spring split. And I mean, we did see in the pre-roll video feature there that Reginald and the rest of TSM were saying, we won Season 2, we won the thing at PAX last year, we won the spring split. They just win when it comes to these events. And I mean, it's surprising a lot of people because they've looked down this entire split.
They thrive off of having the fans here. I think Dyrus says it the most. Even when they have lost games, they're out there and the fans will be like, thanks for standing with us for an hour. Thanks for talking with us. The fans mean so much to TeamSoloMid and so much to all of the teams here. You heard Nian earlier, and it really is able to push them over the top in their games.